Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zhou Chenling, and my partner Lin Yu is the first author of this study. Both of us are postgraduate students in the second year, and the advisor of this study is our co-mentor, Professor Ren Jie. All of us come from Beijing Language and Culture University, China. It is a great honor for me and my partner here to share some thoughts about CAT, MST, and the related application with you. The topic we'd like to share is MHK, MST design, and the related simulation study. I will give a brief outline about the framework of our study, and my partner Lin Yu will be responsible for the Q&A part. My speech includes two parts, introduction and conception. First is the introduction part. Okay, why we choose this topic? Following are the reasons. At present, most large-scale tests in China, like college entrance examination, college English test, graduate entrance examination, are paper and pencil tests. Paper and pencil tests are linear with no point of adaptation, resulting in the same set of items given to all examinees, taking the same set test form. This leads to the consequence that easy items are meaningless to examinees in advanced level, and difficult items are non-effective to examinees in lower competence. Luckily, development in modern test theory and advancement in computing technology gave birth to a new test form, CAT. Computerized adaptive testing is recognized as an efficient alternative mode of test administration to traditional paper and pencil tests. Unlike paper and pencil tests, where all examinees receive an identical set of items, CAT tailors the test for each examinee. It administers test items that more closely match each examinee's estimated ability. Apparently, the major advantage of CAT is that it can shorten test length while increasing measurement accuracy, precision of the examinee's ability. Besides, computer-based testing allows for flexibility in the time and place examinees administered their test. And it also facilitates more accurate and rapid reporting of test results to a large number of examinees. It also makes possible the administration of the assessment in ways other than the traditional linear fixed format in which all examinees get identical set of items. However, criticism for CAT still exists. One such criticism is the lack of administrative control over the content quality of CAT test forms. Another criticism of CAT is the lack of review opportunities for examinees. To prevent examinees from using test-taking strategies that would circumvent the testing algorithm and threaten the measurement efficiency of the test, most CATs prohibit examinees from reviewing and skipping items during the test. However, examinees find this to be a big disadvantage and is one of the greatest complaints about CAT from test takers. And on the contrary, of paper and pencil tests, CAT would be another extreme, where adaptation occurs after every item and each examinee could potentially receive a completely different set of items. Based on this situation, researchers began to pay more attention to another adaptive test form, that is MST, multi-stage test. A multi-stage test can be viewed as a middle ground between the transitional linear fixed format test and CAT. MSTs usually use testing automated test assembly algorithm to build the initial item sets such that they satisfy the various statistic and content constraints. Test developers are then given the opportunity to review and edit the item set for content quality. Item exposure rate can also be controlled through this quality assurance process prior to test administration. And the purpose of this study is to apply MST to MHK test and try to develop an MST-MHK test for level 3. Now I would like to introduce MHK test. MHK is the abbreviation of 民族汉语考试 in Chinese, and it is a national standardized test of Chinese language proficiency for non-native Chinese language speakers in China. In other words, the target examinees of MHK are the ethnic minority people in China. It is jointly managed by the Ministry of Education of the People's Republic of China and Beijing Language and Culture University, and was established in 2002. Usually, it takes place twice a year, and thousands of examinees will take part in it. The MHK has 4 levels, and students graduate from primary school will take level 1 test. Students graduate from middle school take level 2 test. And students in 3rd year in high school will take part in MHK level 3 part. And college students or teachers in ethnic minority areas will take part in the level 4 test. Among the 4 levels, the level 3 owns the largest scales of examinees, and the score of MHK level 3 will be a vital reference in college admission. And there are 3 components in the MHK test. They are listening comprehension, and reading comprehension, and the writing part. Okay. This table shows the structure of MHK level 3 and the item numbers, total scores, and expected test times in each subtest. From the table, we can see that in the first part, the listening comprehension, there were 14 items. All of them are multiple choices, and examinees are expected to achieve 100 scores in about 30 minutes. And in the reading comprehension part, there are also 14 items in this part, and all of them are multiple choices, and some of them are test-like items. The examinees are expected to achieve 100 scores in about 45 minutes. And in the writing part, there are 15 multiple choices plus 1 composition writing task. Examinees in this part are expected to achieve 100 scores in about 45 minutes. So in conclusion, there are 96 items in the MHK level 3 test, and all the examinees are expected to achieve 300 scores in about 2 hours. Okay. So this study will focus on the listening comprehension part and the reading comprehension part in MHK level 3. Okay. Now let's move to the second part of my speech, conception. It is outline of our study. Okay. First, the study material. The study material in MHK is MHK level 3's listening comprehension and reading comprehension's item bank. All of the items have been used in past MHK level 3 tests. Each item will be equated and will be marked with statistic parameters and content parameters. The statistic parameters include item difficulty, item discrimination, pseudo guessing parameter, and the content parameters include item type, item answer, and etc. Okay. Next is the considerations we should think about during the test design. According to the test stage, we pay attention to different elements. Before the test, we need to consider model choosing and test structure, sub-item bank construction, and test assembly method. And during the test, we have to think ability estimation, routing method, and the stopping rule. After the test, we may consider score transforming, score report, and measurement accuracy. Now I will give a specific statement of each element one by one. On model choosing, we choose to apply the 2-parameter logistic LRT model because a large number of researchers have proved this model to be efficient and TRT model for test-like items. And on test structure, we have to think about 2 aspects. The first one is number of stages. Most recent researchers and applications use 3 or 4 stages. Luchent and Lancaster suggested that where increasing the number of stages generally increased the measurement precision of MST, and the psychrometric gains need to be balanced against the increase in complexity of test construction. And another one is the number of modules. The vast majority of MST researches and applications have used 1 module in the first stage and multiple modules in the later stages. Armstrong in 2004 found evidence indicating that 3 modules per stage is generally adequate, where having 4 modules is the maximum needed to achieve desirable psychrometric properties for most MSTs. Therefore, based on this researching result, we choose to apply 3 stages in 3 structures in the study, 1 module in the first stage and 3 modules in the second and the third stages. And we need to manipulate other factors to compare the accuracy and effectiveness of the 3 structures. These are the 3 structures we have planned to apply in the MHK MST test. The structure 1 and structure 2 are the simple ones, and the structure 3 is the complex one. First, I will introduce the letters meaning. And the letter L1 here represents listening, and the R letter represents the reading test. And another L represents low, and M represents the medium, and H represents the high. In structure 1, the examinee starts with a listening test in medium difficulty, and according to his performance in this stage, he will be distributed to the second stage, either in the easy listening test, or a medium difficult listening test, or the difficult listening test. And after this stage test, the examinees will be distributed to the third stage to finish the reading part. And the difference between structure 1 and structure 2 is that in the first stage, the examinees in structure 1 only have to finish the listening test, but in structure 2, the examinees have to finish both listening and the reading test. And the structure 3 separates the listening and reading test into the 2 separate single tests, and all the examinees should have to finish the listening test and then change to the reading part. So that's the introduction of the 3 structures we plan to use in our test. And next is the sub-item bank construction. In this part, based on the test structure we just discussed, we may need to build 14 sub-item banks from the listening test of in stage 1 in medium difficulty to the third stage of reading test in the high difficulty. And on test assembly method, the study would use top-to-down strategy to build 8 panels. During the course, the modules are constructed according to test level specifications, like test content and statistic target. Nowadays, automated test assembly algorithms and computer programs are often utilized to solve the test assembly problems in MSTs. We would like to use MST. We would like to use MST Gym, our package, and other softwares to finish this task. Next is the ability estimation. The study chooses EAP method, for it has a more stable calculating result and don't need to iteration during the calculation process, which save the calculating time and improve the effectiveness. And on the routing method, the routing method for an MST is analogous to the test algorithm in a CAT. Based on former research, the study chose 3 routing methods. They are the NC method, which based on minimum mean square error, the proximity method, which matches module difficulty and ability estimation, and the TIFS method, which determines the theta point. Next is the measurement accuracy. This study would choose root mean square error and root mean square deviation and item exposure properties to evaluate the 3 MST structures. Now is the implement steps in our study. And I will introduce the steps. The first one is the examinees are randomly distributed to one of the 8 panels. Just imagine there are 8 panels. And the examinees began to answer the items in the first stage. When finished the items in stage 1, the system will give each examinee a temporary ability score. And then the examinees will be distributed to the stage 1 according to his former performance. And when the examinees finish the task in the stage 2, the system will again give another temporary ability score. And after that, the examinees will be distributed to the stage 3, when finish all the tasks in stage 3, the system will give each examinee a final ability score. And in the structure 3 we just mentioned, these steps will be repeated twice. Since the construction of the item bank work haven't been finished now, we would further study in the future times. Yeah. And so today I will just introduce the outline of this our work. And see that it's a very fundamental research, and we hope to get some advice from you. Next part is the Q&A part. I'll give the floor to my partner, Lin Yu, and thank you for your attention.
Could you show, please, the three structures?
The structure?
Yes. I imagine that listening and reading are highly correlated, no?
I can point one.
So, would it be possible to skip the module, the structure 3, the Y, the 1RM?
Your question is the data?
To delete the 1RM, because if listening and reading are correlated,
Yeah.
probably if you are high in listening, probably you will be high in reading.
So maybe we can set weight for each sub.
Thank you for your attention.